guys, welcome back to another video and another day. We're back down here working on my car. So obviously the car's still in the same place. It's been about a week and I've just got my engine back from the Engine Reconditioners. So yeah, they just dropped it here on a pallet. So you got that. So yeah, I've got a whole lot of stuff I just brought from Ripco and that sort of stuff, BNT and all that. So I've got some Penrite running in oil, 15W40. Obviously got some gear oil, got a new water pump, couple new pulleys. Just replaced these two because these two are noisy. Got a brand new genuine thermostat in there. So yeah, it's got the motor sitting here on a crate. I'll start. I've got to pull out my injectors and replace injector seals. I've got a whole lot of gaskets and seals and a whole lot of stuff in here. Obviously got the gearbox down here, clutch. But yeah, I'll start pulling out the injectors, replace the injector seals, and then I'll start bolting on this sort of stuff. Obviously like my thermostat, my water pump, the fuel rail, obviously my high pressure fuel pump that goes on there, some of the coolant lines, my starter motor. Yeah, start putting on this side of stuff. Obviously my PCV plate and my new PCV valve, and run the lines for my catch can. I'll run them out that side because I'm not sure exactly where I'm putting them. They'll mount over here somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure. And then I'll stand it up and start putting the stuff on the other side. And then once everything's on, all the alternator and everything's on, I'll just sort of slide the motor into place and yeah, bolt it up. So if you look here is my old piston. It's obviously all broken and whatnot, so the oil rings, piston rings were gone, so that's probably where I was burning oil. But also because of my crack on pop tune, it obviously stuffed my pistons. Luckily it didn't do any ball wear inside the engine, so we managed to just put the new pistons on with the same rods. That way there we don't have to bore it out or anything. So yeah, so got new pistons, new piston rings. It's got a new timing kit on it. Also my VVT was stuffed, VVT hub, so that's been replaced. Yeah, most of this damage was caused by my tune, because I had crack on pop on there. Nothing against my tuner, he does an amazing, awesome job. But when I got crack on pop on it, I knew all the risks that were involved when putting that on. I knew what could potentially happen. So that was at my own risk of putting it on here. I only did what I instructed him to do. So yeah, had crack on pop on there, which was detonating inside the chamber, and obviously damaging all my pistons and piston rings and the VVT hub. So I've now had the crack on pop tune turned off, so that won't happen anymore. So I'll try and protect this engine. My ECU I dropped up to Auckland on Saturday, so it's now Thursday, so I dropped it up there last weekend, getting him to just throw a base tune on it so I can run this motor in without it causing any issues. So that's still up there at the moment. That should be back the next coming days, so once I got back up to Auckland and grab it. But yeah, so I'll start cracking to this motor, start putting some of these parts on and go from there. So I was going to start pulling out my injectors and replacing the injector seals, but the seals I've got from my kit over here are the wrong ones. So I've ordered some more, but they won't be here till this afternoon, so that's a bit of a hold fire for the meantime on that. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start putting on my new PCV plate, and then the new PCV valve. Obviously the valve in here, and obviously my PCV plate's in that box. So yeah, I'll bolt that on first, and then I'll start putting the thermostat in, water pump, starter motor, and then I'll probably tilt it on its side and start putting the exhaust manifold on, turbo, all that sort of stuff, downpipe, start bolting that side on. So yeah, here is my Damon Motorsport PCV plate. So I've got two block off plates in there. You can actually hook catch cans up through there, which I'm not doing. Obviously got your PCV valve in here that's that can turn. It's got a little like a circlet thing in there to hold it in place. Obviously the backside there of the PCV valve. So yeah, that's just gonna got my little gasket around through here. So that's there is literally just going to sit on there like that, and then now it's got to bolt it down using the supplied bolts that they provided. so PCV plates all bolted down. Obviously I can still tune my valve. I'll probably have it up that way there because I'll have my hose coming on here that goes out that way into my catch can. So now it's going to bolt on the water pump that goes in here, and then put my thermostat housing on here, then start a motor, and then probably lift it up and start working on the other side. Obviously you can put all my pulleys on the back because I've got my alternate tension that goes down in here. I've got my other pulley that goes there. So yeah, I'll start doing that. So now that I'm doing my water pump and thermostat housing, I need to go through all my bags and find the one that says water pump on it and one that says thermostat housing. That way there I know the bolts are the right bolts, and then they'll bolt straight on in. So I've been just sort of plodding along, working on my car, just slowly putting bolts and that back on, slowly putting parts on. So if you look here, got my manifold on, turbos on, downpipe, alternator, all my got some new pulleys here. Yeah, alternators on, oil feed lines on, return lines on, little turbo brackets on. I put a block off plate on the, for my exhaust manifold. Got my water pump on and pulley, my thermostat, got my PCV which you saw before. Just put the gearbox back on, so I just need to bolt the starter motor in here. Got my oil filter housing. Still got tape over my inlet manifold. Still waiting for my seals to turn up for my injectors. So yeah, the seal should be here tomorrow, and then I can pull the injectors out, replace the seals, and then I can start putting the fuel rail back on, the intake manifold back on, and then start running all my coolant lines back up, and then put my high pressure fuel pump and all that housing that goes on the side here. Pretty much just waiting for my injector seals, so once they turn up I can start just putting the rest of it together. I could wait until it goes back and put it in the car then do it, but it's going to be a lot harder. Yeah, I'd rather do it while it's out, so I'll just leave this gearbox like this, the engine like this tonight. Just put the starter motor on, a couple other little things, and then wait for the seals to come, pull the injectors out, put the seals in, and then put the motor into the car. I'm hoping with my downpipe, because my downpipe comes out quite long, I'm hoping it's going to just fit in there because obviously it's got to go in through here. So I'm hoping that we can get it up high enough and then sort of slot it in. And then I've obviously got to put the power steering pump back on, the AC pump, put my drive belt on, hook on all this wiring because this is really wiring galore. Put my axles back in, and then I need to put fluids in it, and take my spark plugs out. I've already got my new spark plugs and coils in, but I'm going to take those out, and we're going to start it the first time so there's no compression, and just so it builds up oil pressure, gets oil through everywhere before it runs, so it doesn't cause any damage to the motor. Yeah, so I've still got bolts and all that down here, but yeah, so the gearbox is in, clutches back in, clutch was good so I didn't have to replace that. But yeah, pretty much all I'm waiting for now is those injector seals, and then I can start putting this whole front back together. But yeah, can't get over how good the turbo and manifold look. So yeah, custom turbo, bigger internals, the biggest I could go. New excess power manifold, my original downpipe that I had for a little while. Yeah, alternator. There's only one more thing I still got to do down here for my clutch slave cylinder. Eventually broke off the bolt when I pulled it out, so I've got to try and remove that at some stage just to get that out. But yeah, it's tracking nicely. So today's Friday. I'm hoping to have it running on Sunday. So tomorrow I'll get it in, get most of it done, and then Sunday I'll just do the last little final touches, and I should be able to start it on Sunday. So all going well, I'll be have my car back next week. I'm going back to work next week. If I don't get it sorted by Monday, I have to wait till the following weekend to finish it off. Hey guys, so it's another day down here at the workshop working on my car again. I've just had my injectors seals turn up from Auckland, so I've just thrown those in and bolted it all up. So if you look here, you can see I've got all the new seals at this end, plus the other seal that I got from Auckland's on the other side, because the factory ones are quite sort of shit and they sort of just go brittle and break. So I put some aftermarket ones in on the between the injectors and the engine, just because they are quite a shitty design. So I've upgraded those. I've put new seals on here, so now I can pull my tape off here. I've got my fuel rail I need to bolt on, and then I can start putting the intake manifold on, run the piping for my catch can, and then start putting on my high pressure fuel pump, the cover that goes on here, the EGR system, and then put on all the rest of the coolant lines, hook up my 3-port boost control solenoid. So once all that's done, then the engine should be able to slot into the car, and then just hook up all the wiring and yeah, gas selector cables and all that, fuel lines, coolant lines, put in my coolant tank, put my AC pump back in, my power steering pump, then my AC condenser and my radiator, and top it all up with fluids, put fresh running in engine oil, and then I can crank it over, get oil pressure, and then try and start it. I've also got my ECU back from Auckland. That has now got a fresh tune on it. It's all tuned for my latest mods. There's not going to be any engine lights on because the EGR is unplugged, or it's not going to have the crack on pop tune that's going to cause any more damage to my engine. And it's obviously going to be tuned to my bigger turbo and my 3-port boost control solenoid. So yeah, the ECU is here. So yeah, I'll start putting the fuel rail on now, and then the intake manifold. So the fuel rail's on. I've plugged all of the wiring in for the injectors. So now I'm going to put this on. So this goes on here. Obviously my high pressure fuel pump's all in here, so I'll plug in the high pressure fuel line, and then I can start putting this other stuff on, and then putting my intake manifold on. So my motor's pretty much ready to go into the car now. If you look here, I've got the intake manifold and all that on. Connected up some of my coolant lines, got the high pressure fuel pump, gearbox, turbo, exhaust manifold. I've already plugged in my O2 sensors. They're a lot harder to do the O2 sensors once they're in the car because it's hitting up here. I've made a custom heat shield because I've got no heat shields on my manifold, so obviously it's going to get a lot hotter. So yeah, created a custom heat shield just so it keeps the heat down, because obviously my heater core hoses are behind it. So yeah, obviously got all the pulleys on. So got to put the engine mounts in once I put it in. This hose here, it comes out of my PCV valve. It's going to hook into my catch can. So obviously there's the PCV plate, there's the PCV valve, so one end of the catch can is going to go into here, and then this pipe here off the intake manifold is where the other side of the catch can will go. So I've got the dipstick in, just got to bolt that up, a couple of vacuum lines and a couple of things other to do. The rest of my wiring loom I've got to plug into there, the rest of the wiring loom to plug into there. Still got to hook up the vacuum hoses for my boost controller. So we're just going to jack it up now, lift it up with the engine crane and spin it around and then put it into the car. So we are slowly getting there with the car. As you can see here, the motor is in. Obviously I've done up the middle bit of the transmission mount, done up my engine mount. The motor still rocks, as I haven't got my rear motor mount in yet. So yeah, I'm just starting to go through and starting to sort out some of this wiring. If you look here, we've got all this wiring here, this wiring loom, and this part, and yeah, there's just wiring and stuff everywhere. Obviously this part and wiring everywhere. So what I'm doing, I'm just starting here. Obviously you know that got on the starter motor, so I'm starting here and just working my way around with the rest of this wiring. Eventually this one here will hook onto the alternator at the back of the motor, so I'll just work my way around. So it just comes up here and hooks down the back. It's a pretty tight fit with that manifold in place. That custom heat shield I made I had to remove because it didn't fit. I might have to try and sort something out later. But yeah, so that's in. Obviously the turbos here, I've just put a rag in it so nothing goes in there. Got to put my new coolant reservoir in, put the power steering pump, mount that back up, and then I've got to run my coolant lines. Obviously goes into here, and then another coolant line goes into here. So run all that, and then obviously my radiator. Got my gear selector cables down here I've got to hook up. Put the battery in, ECU in, all my intercooler piping I've still got to do. Yeah, so I'm just working my way through the wiring now. Hook up all the wiring, and then once that's done I'll start mounting up the power steering pump and the AC pump, and that way there I can then put my my drive belt on around all the pulleys. Yeah, finish the wiring, and yeah, rear motor mount. Yeah, so there's the turbo down in there, back side of it. But yeah, it's quite a big job. It's currently 6:10 at night on Saturday, so I'm hoping to have this all done tomorrow, because I want to take it home tomorrow, because obviously I'm back at work on Monday. But yeah, so just going to start attacking it and start just plodding along, putting it all back together, and then yeah, come down tomorrow and hopefully finish it off.
Invincible.
it's now 9:10. Still working on my car. As you can see now, I've plugged in all my wiring looms, so I've got all this plugged in. It goes all the way down through here. All that's hooked up. Obviously goes around the back, goes to the alternator, so that's all plugged in. I've put my new coolant reservoir tank in, that's all bolted in. Got my power steering tank bolted back up. Got my new, got the power steering pump bolted in. It's got a couple of lines here, that one goes into the radiator and the other one goes into here. But I'll put those on tomorrow once I get the radiator and that in. These two lines here, they actually go to my PCV valve. So I'm running a catch can, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to mount the catch can under here. So I have both lines going to there for my catch can. I'm going to also run another catch can that comes out of this breather here, and it's meant to go back into the intake, which will be in here. So I'll put a catch can in there, but I'm not sure where I'm going to mount that one yet. And I was going to run the piping. O2 sensors all plugged in and wired up. I plugged in all the coolant lines on the turbo. It's got a wire up the boost controller, so we haven't done that yet, which shouldn't be too hard. Obviously the rest of the transmission mount, because obviously these bolts here is waiting for the top panel to go on before I can bolt those down. The gear selector cables are in and on, so it's all working. This wiring here is for my ECU, which sits there, of battery. So all the wiring on this side of things is pretty much done. Obviously I can't, that's from our intercooler piping, but I can't do that until my car's complete, just find out where exactly I need the piping. Tomorrow I'll put the AC pump on, and then the radiator for it, the condenser, put that on. I've just got it tied up out of the way, just so it was, when I was working getting the motor in and out, it wasn't in my way. Yeah, it's coming together. I still have to put my rear motor mount in. That's not done yet, so I've got to do that. But yeah, my stuff's getting smaller and smaller as the time goes on. So there's my rear motor mount there. Obviously the intercooler piping. But yeah, there's not a lot left to do. It may look like a lot, but it's actually not too bad. The hard stage is over, so there's a hose to the radiator down the bottom there, which plugs on into here, and then the hose that's on the top there, that plugs in over to here. So I'll do that once the motor goes on. Obviously I've got my front cross member I've got to put on, and that front top panel. To do that, I've got to put the little piece in here for my slave cylinder, the little spring part. Still got to do that. We managed to get the bolt out that I snapped off in there, so that's out. All this wiring that you see here, that's all for my run across the front of the radiator, top of the radiator. So all that wiring is for my headlights, spotlights, and the wiring for the radiator fan. So yeah, I'll stick all that out of the way for the meantime, because obviously I'll put that in once I've got the front on, and then I can wire it up. Then I've got to put my axles in, so I've got no axles, and then I can put the bottom ball joint back in, bolt that up, and then once all that's done, I can pretty much add coolant, add running in engine oil, and add transmission oil. And then I'll take my spark plugs and coils out, and I'll just wind it over just so it builds up oil pressure, so it's not trying to start. And once it's built up oil pressure, then I'll put the spark plugs and coils in, and see if it runs. And then once it's running, I'll just sort of get up the temps and make sure there's no oil leaks, no coolant leaks, no petrol leaks, no water leaks, no oil leaks, transmission leaks, and make sure there's no leaks or whatsoever under there. So yeah, once it's all done, yeah, I'll take it for a quick drive, make sure it's all good, bring it back, I'll chuck it back on the hoist and have a look. I still do have to put my exhaust on, so to do that I'll chuck it up on the hoist. So once I've done everything here, I'll take it off the axle stands, and I'll chuck it up on the hoist behind me, and I'll chuck my exhaust on, and then I've got to put my front bumper on, bonnet on, just a few cosmetic stuff. So yeah, it's tracking along nicely. So yeah, it's 9:15. Pretty much going to call it a night. There's not a lot more I can do, but there is a little bit, but I've sort of had enough working on it today. So yeah, I'll pretty much head home, have some sleep, and then come back here about 9:30 in the morning, and start just working away at it, and sort of and just finish it off, get it running so I can take it home. It's not bad progress really, considering yesterday morning it was still on that pallet there, pretty much completely stripped down, not much on it, and then obviously I started putting everything, all the accessories and stuff back on, like PCV and alternator and all that stuff, water pump, and then from getting it from that stage to getting it in the car and getting it all wired up, it's actually quite a big progress. So one more day, and that should pretty much do it. So it's actually tracking quite nicely. I also just want to say thank you to the guys that have come down and given me a quick hand, just help out where they can, put in this motor in, all the helps, really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you for helping me out. So this video that I'm doing, so I'm just going along editing this video as we speak. This video was going to be one long video, but I have decided now to make it two videos. Just reason being is, if you look here, the video is going to be 45 minutes long, and it was going to be 33 gigabytes, and I still had more footage than that to put in it, so I thought that was quite a long video. So I am going to cut this into two videos. So I'm going to make it like the first one like 26 minutes, and then make the last one like 20 minutes or something, but then it'll probably get extended out a little bit. So yeah, I will cut that short. So yeah, so thanks for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification down below. That way there, just when I upload the next video, the part 2 of this video, you'll get notified and you'll be able to watch it straight away. So yeah, part 2 will be coming out in a couple of days after this video goes up. So yeah, stay tuned. The part 2 is where I basically put the rest of the car back together, the whole front of the car back on, and headlights, and take off the axle stands, put it onto the hoist, and put my intercooler, all that back on, put the oils in, and then I do like the first startup and go from there. So yeah, stay tuned, and yeah, keep an eye out for that that next video, part 2 of this one, and yeah, be able to go and watch us, and yeah, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.